Hi there everyone, this is Erum Tasneem for Altenew. Welcome to Creative Coloring with Erum. Today's project is inspired by the card I made for Craft a Flower Daisy release. This is a slightly toned down version of that card. This is the Craft a Flower Daisy die set, and I will be using the 9x12 watercolor paper pad to die cut the pieces I want. I'm using my awesome mini Blossom machine. These are small enough to fit on the plates, the dies that is, but the flower is big enough for the card. I will be using Cosmic Berry and Cotton Candy to color the flowers. These shades are from the 36 pan watercolor set. For the first layer, the one at the top, I'll apply water, cover the daisy layer with water, then apply a light color wash to cover the entire layer. Add concentrated pigment closer to the flower center and pull it out a bit. If you have worked with the Altenew watercolor paper, this is a 9x12 one, you would know that it can take in a lot of water. So this will spread on its own a bit, and it won't look as stark and rigid as it's looking right now. You will see that I am just dabbing the color, not really trying to be careful. This will spread on its own unless you heat set it right away. And even if it doesn't spread, this will look pretty anyway since it's such a gorgeous flower. Okay, so I will also be adding Cosmic Berry to the first layer. But first, let me do the second layer. This will be completely covered in Cosmic Berry pigment. I will apply water to the entire area, then a color wash. This is going to be a little concentrated color wash because I want this layer to be darker than the first layer. Dab the brush, dab on some pigmented paint so that there is a variation. For the flower center, I'm using paper bag watercolor, and for its layer I am using espresso. And actually I later on realized when I was putting the card together, the flower together that is, that the layer belongs to the other flower, but I went with it anyway. It doesn't really matter, you won't even notice it. For the leaves, I'll start with a light color wash of evergreen on the base of the layer. On the base layer, and for all the layers I start with the same way. Apply water and then a light color wash, and then add pigment to it later if I want to. I'll also add some yellow to this for interest. For the detail layer, this is going to be concentrated evergreen watercolor pigment, and I'll cover the entire thing. Then to add interest, I'll also drop in some paperback watercolor. You will see it looks really cool after drying. Just drop this in some places and leave it. If you want to heat set it, you can go ahead and heat set it. I'm going to set this on my right side. I'm not going to heat set it right now. For my panel, I have a 3 by 4.5 inch piece. I have cut this from the 9x12 cardstock, and I'll roughly color this with espresso watercolor. Okay, so here I realized that on my original card, I used the 4 by 5.5 loose watercolor cardstock, and that gave me a different result as compared to this 9x12 one. It's different, but it's still good. You see this brush I'm using for splatters is Altenew brush. I use this for detail painting or adding smaller size splatters. The one I usually use, the purple one that I have, is half dead, but it is very helpful to color the background since it leaks way too much water now, and I have been using it for ages, so I know how to control it. but look at the splatters that the Altenew brush creates. These are fine and look very nice. I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool on the panel. I have actually completely dried this. It took me a while to dry this because the 9x12 takes in a lot of water, like I've said this countless times. Then I'll stamp the image in Enchanted gold pigment ink. You can use embossing ink. It doesn't have to be Enchanted gold, but I am going with this gold because in case I want to remove some of the embossing powder from some places. I usually do this, so that is why I decided to go with the gold, so that at least when I remove the embossing powder, the gold ink from the gold from the ink will be visible. The stamp I'm using is the Shades of Love stamp set. It says one of the 2x3 sets, and I'm going to be doing partial stamping, and I won't cover the entire panel in order to get a grungy look. I'll now pour over antique gold embossing powder over the stamped panel. If you think it's too much, use your finger to remove it. If you want to remove a lot of powder, then use a dry paintbrush. Look how it looks after heat setting. You can see the subtle shine and the difference on the 4x5.5 loose watercolor cardstock and this 9x12 is the way embossing powder behaves on it, especially the gold. It kind of absorbs in the 9x12 one. It's an excellent look for grungy backgrounds. So both of my backgrounds on the card that I initially created and this card, they both look very different, and I've done the same thing essentially. Now I am going to use this Tim hole scissor that I have. Please note that I am using a closed scissor. I'm going to use the outside portion, not the cutting portion. The blades, that is. Not using the blades, but the other side that we don't use. I do this often to distress my panel edges. There are tools for this sort of thing, but this works for me. You can even use a kitchen knife too. I am doing this to make the edges grungy, distressed. Please note again that I'm using the outer edge of the scissors and not the inside cutting edge. I have done this previously in one of my videos and a lot of people got confused as to what I was doing. So I'm repeating this again, that I'm using the outer side of the edge. The scissor works for me. I don't know why this is a scissor works for me. I think any scissor would work, but I have not tried it with any of the scissor actually. This is the one I actually have all the time with me because I cut my foam tape with it. So I use this. It's kind of sturdy too compared to my other scissors. So well, where was I? Oh yeah, now I'll add black paint splatters onto the panel. I didn't do this on the inspiration card. On the inspiration card, I used some green yellows instead. But I wanted to change this one up a little bit, so I am going to add a black paint splatters. Now I'll put the flowers and leaves together. For the flower, I used foam tape, and for the leaves, they were just glued directly. Before adhering the sentiment, I'll add splatters of gold and white metallic watercolor. The white metallic watercolor I concentrated, my main aim was to cover the flower with those splatters, and the gold one I was more focused on the background and the leaves. I want the flower to be clean and pretty and pink, and so I'm not going to be adding any gold splatters on the flower. I'll just pop the sentiment and some antique gold sequins. This sentiment is from the Statement Flowers stem set. And I'll adhere the panel onto the off-white colored cardstock, and my card is ready. I hope you liked it. You liked the first one, so I thought I'd make a different version of the same for you guys with the video. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye.
So there, did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.